Hello again, viewers. Your humble Ken in waiting. I'll cut my belly off this time. It's a bit obese, isn't it? I might go for a bike ride and work it off. It's not that much. It's a little bit. See, my face isn't too bad. My arms are alright. They're not a bad size. A little bit of bulk on there, but that's good for exercising and keeping fit. I really have to wear the bottom. Anyway, now I was thinking about pie today. How I came up with that idea, or that theory of mine that pie is a little bit off. It's always bothered me. I always thought, 4.1, was it 3.1428, whatever, all these numbers for pi. The way I see it, I haven't figured out all the maths yet. I'll try and do it one day. I'll draw it in my book. That's pi there. So really it should be 4. I'll try and explain it. I haven't thought this through yet. Maybe I should have thought it through first and shown you. It might be a boring video, me going, But no, so 3.2 pi r, hang on, I forgot what 2 pi r is. I struggle with maths because a lot of it seems a bit off to me, like, I'll just see what 2 pi r is. Oh yeah. So 2 pi r is the circumference of the circle, so 2 pi r is working out that. I think pi r squared is the area, isn't it? Pi r squared? Oh. Let's see, hang on. Pi r squared. Yeah, the area. So it's 2 times 3.1428 or whatever it is times the radius. Or it's 3.1428 times radius squared. So it's either one of those ones to work out the circumference of the circle or the area. And then you do other ones, work out the sphere, shape, diameter, whatever. Diameter is just 2r, I think. Because the radius goes from the middle out to the side, so the diameter goes right across. So, to make it easier to understand, the way they work it out is almost geometrically. So, say you've got this geometric shape. I'll do 8 by 8. I'll keep it sort of uniform. I think that's 8 by 8. Then you've got your circle. So that's sort of how they work it out, I suppose. Geometrically, these are supposed to be perfect squares, and they add them up, and then it all works out, and that's the circle. Now, the way I worked it out, I just studied the way things looked a lot, comparing it to how bolts behave. I saw bolts, and you put the nut on, and sometimes they don't turn very well. They get stuck a bit, and then they go, and then they get stuck. And other things like balls bounce. You have a ball, and sometimes it will come straight up, and other times it will go just a little bit sideways. And just other things like that, and just the way things look like. You look at the television, and the sides look like they bow in a little bit, like that. Just when you're looking at it. If you really stare hard, they look a bit straight, but if you just sit relaxed, they look a bit curvy. And you can even see little ripples of curves in them. So it's sort of like your eye, because your eye is basically, this is a really simplified version. That's sort of your eye like that. what it has is all these rods that come out, and so you're seeing sort of through circles all the time, and then you have your iris and your pupil. So you sort of have these rods that come out like that, and then you have cones that go in like that. So you're seeing rods and cones, and it's sort of so when you look at straight lines, they look a bit bent, a bit wobbly. I suppose when people get stoned, that's how they feel bent. That's probably what subliminally is sort of thinking. They're sort of a bit bent, like they're seeing everything a bit more really through their eyes. They seem, without the brain functioning as well, they see more what their eyes sees, which is slightly round. I mean, basically your eye's round. It's going to display a round image in your head, and then your brain transfers that to a straight line. So what you're effectively seeing is like a fisheye lens in your head. Those fisheye lenses that look. I could do an effect on here, but I can't change it at the moment. But see if I can change it. I don't think I can. No, they have a fisheye lens effect, but I can't change it. So what you're seeing is sort of like this, like that, all sort of distorted, and then your brain turns it into a flat picture, flattens it out. But in that process, you sort of slight little deviations. That looks slightly curved when it's straight, and things like that. So what we're doing when we're doing geometrics is we're creating a false sense of what circles really look like, because our brain sees a circle, and in reality it's slightly elliptical circles, and our brain sort of says no, it's round. How do I get this? See that? Right, that's been manufactured on a grid, so it's perfectly round, and our brain will look at that and say, right, that's perfectly round, perfect. Got to get my head around this now, because it's hard, because I'm a human being. I'm not a machine spitting out data, so I've got to try and think this through. So you've got this round shape here, and my brain's looking at that, and really it's seeing a distorted image and then flattening it out and sort of seeing a round shape. Now in reality, that image you're seeing there, right, is slightly elliptical. It's probably 0.5 millimeter too wide on either side. So, but my brain's looking at that, and the way I process the world, it's thinking, no, that's perfect. So it's slightly off. So when you screw like a bolt on, it will slightly catch in certain spots, and that's the best I can explain it without doing my head in. But so my theory that 3.1428 is a little bit wrong is actually 4. I haven't proven this yet. I don't know if anyone else has proven it. No one contacts me about my videos, so they probably thought, stupid, and then maybe secretly they're out there, someone might have found it and won't, trying to figure it out. But I don't know if people do that or not, but I would if I was a scientist and found stuff like that. I'd question it. But let me explain the actual what I mean by 4. So a circle like that, really, to draw a circle, you can't ever actually draw a perfect circle that's round, because if you go right down deep to the very slightest little size of things, it's kind of little squares like that. Everything's a little square going around. So that's the best circle you can get, is a little square, sort of rippled, sort of almost like stairway, like that. That's the best circle you can get. You look at that, it looks smooth and round, but really it's going like little squares, like at a microscopic atomic level, doing little sort of ripples. So, and that's what creates the illusion that a round shape is perfectly symmetrical like that in all directions, right down to energy level, but really it's slightly rippled like a little like a crispy little biscuit, you know. Look at a round biscuit and it's got little ripples on the sides where they've cut it, sort of like that. So the fact that that's happened drawing a circle, when we try and draw it, we don't account for that, and so we draw them slightly squashed, just very slightly squashed, and that's what 3.1428 denotes, because we're drawing it on a grid. So when you draw it in, our brain can't compensate for, I think sound's called a Doppler effect, but the vision sort of does this. That's what a square looks like, sort of like that. For the time and space and other factors and the way our brain perceives things. And so drawing a circle like that onto a square like that, it kind of squashes it out a little bit, just slightly. So it's a funny shape, it's like, even if you think you've got a flat surface, really it's slightly wobbly that way or that way, or even this way. So our brain compensates for that. It creates depth with two eyes. So the way we create depth is we see our eyes see that opposites. So we can think, when we think left, we see this shape. When we think right, we see this shape. So the balance looks like that. Looks like a square. So this is left eye, that's right eye, and then that's what our brain sees. But really, it's seeing this. So it's sort of a funny, wobbly shape. Sort of the way, if you look at one eye, you can almost see the difference. That one goes that way a bit. That one goes that way a bit. That's how our brain comprehends shapes and can denote differences between eyes. And sometimes one eye looks blurry, but it's not really. It's just that if you sat there long enough, you can focus, because your eye adjusts to that shape, whereas you're thinking it's square. All of a sudden it goes, oh yeah, it's in focus. Then you go back to both eyes and it goes back like that, whereas this one will go, oh yeah, there it is, that way, and then this way. So our eyes aren't identical; they're opposite side. They're opposite sides. It's like we're carrying a opposite twin in our heads. We can see two perspectives. You can sort of think, I'm two people in my head almost. Because I have two unique views of the world. It's sort of like the opposite sides of your brain, because both sides of your brain aren't even either. They're sort of inverse of the other. So you can have opposing views. Argue with yourself, talk to yourself. You have brain chemistry that talks from one side to the other. So to draw mathematically that into the real world, because that's what your brain is seeing, to turn that into this or this in the real world, all you have to do is almost draw this. You have to do two calculations like that with the circles like this, so they equal that. So you have a perfect round circle, like that, perfect. So I don't know the mathematic part. I haven't studied that yet, but I'll get to it and I'll prove it one day, and hopefully I'll get an award or something. I don't know, just some recognition. I don't need millions of dollars, but it'd be nice just to have a home and a decent car. But hopefully I'll get there one day. But all the stuff I've studied, I've done all this myself. I don't read other people's stuff. I just study things for myself. I'm studying electronics at school to get a grasp on what other people have done, but I won't be using their knowledge to do my own things. I'll do my own stuff. So to use 4, right, because 3.1428 will draw that circle up there slightly wobbly. Or 1428 or whatever it is, I can't remember what pi is. I think it's 3.1428, yeah, something like that. So to draw a perfect circle, instead of putting a circle on a grid like that, I'll have to use another page. You have to draw 2 opposing ones using 4 like this. I've probably said already. And then you take the average and you can draw a perfect circle like that. Well, thereabouts. So it's a hard calculation 4 because it's rudimentary a square, isn't it? So, or whatever the word, rudimentary or whatever I'm trying to think of. I'll use the words however I like, but so 4 tells you there's 4 corners, 4 sides, 4 angles, 4 corners, 4 sides and 4 angles, and what you have to do is work those out first. Right, you do it on these ones first, the sides, the lengths, and then the angles. Right, using 4, you can work that out. I can't be bothered doing it all yet. I'll work out the maths later on, but I'm just showing you how this is how I've worked it out. And then you don't use 2 pi r or anything like that. You've got to work out, so to get that circle in there, you've got to almost get a perfect circle. Well, it's always going to have little ripples on it, but I'm not just making this up. I've thought this through. I'm just trying to say it without giving it away entirely because I want to study it, work it on myself. So try to think of a good way to explain it without really giving the whole concept away online with no response. So you sort of divide it up into 4 like that, and then you work out there's your grid, right? You've got this bit here, you've got that bit there. Then you work out that circle, and then you take that from here. So you sort of got a donut, you know. That's how you work it out, by doing a donut. I'll call it the Homer Simpson theory. After my dad Homer. Not Homer Simpson, my dad's Homer. The Simpsons' a bit of a joke on our family. None of us are really fat. That's the funny thing. We've just gone through debilitating. We're supposed to be quite big and strong and muscly like Adonis's, you know. But Dad went through a marriage breakup and didn't know his father and a lot of stress. And I went through mental health and enlightenment and my parents breaking up. And so I put on weight, worrying and eating. And Dad's the opposite. He smokes and doesn't eat at all because he's got no money for it either. So we should both be Homer and Odysseus. I'm Odysseus, Dad's Homer. So I don't know if he wants me to say that, but I don't care. kind of like Dad thinks up all the stuff and I go and do it. Not always, but we don't talk about the women. I just talk about Dad or me. Oh look, I talk about my sister like Mother Nature or something sometimes. I think that's nice. But anyone says it's not, I think it's beautiful. She's a vegetarian. She cares for animals. And no, that's not all she does, but she loves nature and just revels in it. So she's Mother Nature to me. So yeah, that's how you do it anyway. Use 4. If you can work out how to use 4, well, you've done it. But I haven't done the maths yet. But that's how you do it. I'll catch you later. Odysseus signing out.